And welcome in today another edition of Caddo Registrar of Voters Election 2015 Update. Today the stars of the show are these canvas forms, the voter canvas forms. You might say, why is that, Tom? Well, Ernie Roberson, let's find out.
Well, Tom, it's a little bit different this year. We normally do the canvas, which is required by federal law. We normally do that in January and February of a year, but due to the fact that a lot of legislators, or there were open seats for legislators after the fall elections last year, there were a lot of special elections in February. So the Secretary of State decided to postpone the canvas until June, and we're going to be working like Turks in June and July to make sure that we get the canvas done. And that's why these cards are the star of the show, because they've already been mailed to the voters who are affected in Caddo Parish, and not every voter is going to get one. But if you do happen to get a canvas card, that's why we're doing this video, to explain what you need to do, and they are the star of the show, and they're also the star for our work this summer.
Canvas just meaning to go around the community, around the parish, and find out who's passed, who is still with us, and to update any addresses?
Kinda. That's part of what we're going to be doing. It actually comes through the National Change of Address Center. We take that information, we match it against the voter list and the Secretary of State's database, and then there winds up being a list of people who will receive a canvas card. And generally it's people who have moved the last couple of years, who have not given a current address to the registrar's office, people who already are inactive, and we're trying to get their address updated, as well as possibly someone who has moved completely out of the jurisdiction, or someone who's passed away that we haven't caught through one of the other methods that we use for deceased voters. So all of that rolls in, and if you got one of these cards, you need to take it seriously, because you need to fill out the information that's on here and make sure that we've got your current address. And we're going to go through that a little bit more, but we need to get that current address from you, as well as a phone number in case we need to contact you and get back with you on that. And you need to sign it and get it back to us. And if you have someone that's registered in your household who was at that same incorrect address, they ought to get one too. But you can call us, 226-6891, and I'll say that a lot during this video, because if you have a question, we do want you to call us, 226-6891.
All right. Now, so whenever you get your canvas voter card, and you'll see different things on there, different boxes to fill. I see there's a thing on there about homestead exemption. Who does that apply to, and how?
Well, by state law, if you have a homestead exemption, you're supposed to register at your homestead exemption address. So therefore, if you do have one, go ahead and use that homestead exemption address. However, some people don't have a homestead exemption. They're either renting the property or they're living somewhere that's not their homestead exemption. They should be listing, if you have the homestead, you list that address. Otherwise, you list the address you're living at. And so therefore, like if you're in an apartment or something, you don't have the homestead, we want to make sure that we get the correct address. Not only the street address, Tom, but if there is an apartment number, make sure you always put your apartment number on anything that you deal with in voting, because if we try to mail a card to some address without the apartment number, the card comes back to us. You're marked as an inactive, and it'll cause you problems at the polls on Election Day. But use your homestead exemption address if you have one.
Well, now a lot of people might ask, okay, well, what if the person who is addressed to on the canvas card is deceased, or maybe that person doesn't live here? What about that, Ernie?
Well, two things. Number one, if the person is deceased, please write on there deceased and send it back to the registrar's office. Just drop it right back in the mail to us, right on there, deceased. If the person doesn't live there anymore, they've moved out, or you moved in and they're not there anymore at all, then write on there, does not live here, moved, or whatever, if you know the circumstance. If you don't, that's okay. But just write on there, does not live at this address, and send it back to us, because that helps us. We start an entirely different procedure in that case, where we actually challenge the voter, and we have that right by federal law, and we challenge the voter to make sure that we're keeping the rolls as current but also as clean as possible.
And again, with Ernie Roberson, Caddo Registrar of Voters here, as we're talking about the canvas voter cards that have now been sent out and up to you to send back. And I think the question everybody wants to know is, Ernie, what if I don't send the card back?
All right, if you receive one of these cards and you don't send the card back, then what's going to happen is whenever you go to the polls, we're going to have marked you as an inactive voter. And when you get to the polls, you're going to have to fill out an address confirmation at the polls. That's going to take longer for you. It's going to hold up the line for voting. Sometimes if there are a lot of people in line, they'll kind of move you to the side and let you fill out your paperwork while they keep checking people through. So actually, this is much simpler. If you'll go ahead and fill out the canvas card if you receive one, or if you know by checking at caddovoter.org that the address shown on your record is the incorrect address, we do have a change of address form you can download off of caddovoter.org, or you can call us and we'll mail you a form. If you're not a computer type person and you don't know how to do that, well then just call us and we'll mail you the form. We're going to do whatever it takes to make sure we got your current address, because that's important, Tom, in this fall's election, October 24th, because we're going to have state reps, state Senate seats up. We're also going to have parish commission. All of those are running on district lines, so therefore we're looking for everybody to be in their correct district, and the only way you can be in your correct district is to be at your current address.
And not to mention the state office holders, governor, lieutenant governor, etc.
Right. We're also going to be voting on those. We're going to be voting for the parish-wides, sheriff. We'll have a special election for district attorney to fill in the position, of course, due to the death of Judge Scott. And so all of that comes up in the fall, and it's important that your address be current. And October 24th is that election day. The books close 30 days in advance, so you need to go ahead and get that in, because we've also got to mail you a card to confirm your current address. And all of that rolls together to say that it's going to be a tight, compressed time frame this summer while we're doing the canvass. Then we're going to pick up with mobile voter registration beginning around July the 5th, I believe, is when we start that. And we're going to be doing that activity, and then it won't be long till candidates are qualifying and filing through the clerk's office. So all of that gets together, and it's very important we get your correct address, and that's why the canvass is the star of the show.
The stars of the show. These two canvas cards, as we speak today at the Registrar of Voters office here, downtown Shreveport, just right across from the courthouse. Ernie Roberson. Ernie, you've already mailed these out. About how many did you mail out?
I believe it's around 5,000 to 6,000 that we've mailed out. Not everybody's affected by the canvas. It's basically people that don't match, or as far as their address goes, versus what their voter registration address is, or someone who's already inactive that we've already checked. And I mean, there's going to be more than that, but we're going to be down to people, and Tom, I got to go to this end of this, if you don't fill out your card. And once we finish the 2016 election, if you've been inactive for two federal general elections, that would be 14 and 16, and you never filled out the card, and you never went to vote, and you never updated your address, you get removed from the voter rolls. That's how it happens now. And so it's very important to go ahead and take care of it this year and get it done, because that's the way the rolls are cleaned, as well as the fact that we remove the deceased voters every day. And we challenge people regularly based on what their status is, whether they have been charged with a felony and they get suspended for those, or whether we have information that says they don't live in the parish. We challenge them too. All of that rolls together. So we're working on that every day. But this canvas procedure was put into federal law. It's been in state law for years. It's very important, and it's the star of the show for us this summer.
Well, it's not very often you get to see the stars of the show and they don't say anything, but let me tell you, they pack a powerful wallop if you want to vote and you haven't been vetted, if you will. It is another election voter update from the Caddo Parish Registrar of Voters, Ernie Roberson. A reminder, there's a phone number to call, he mentioned that a moment ago, and a website to visit if you need more information. Ernie, one more time.
Phone number to call, 226-6891. We're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, 226-6891. And the website has all the information on it, caddovoter.org.
Thank you very much. Tom Pace here at the Caddo Registrar of Voters Office, downtown Shreveport, with another Election Voter 2015 update.